Joker 2 signals the death of Hollywood. Watch to the end of the video to fully understand the implications of this movie, its major failure, and how this is signaling the beginning of the end for the Hollywood industry and the start of something new. Today we'll be looking at a video from Geeks and Gamers. Their channel will be linked in the description so you can go check them out and support them. And now let's just go ahead and jump right into the video.
I would say it's probably a 5-alarm fire at Warner Brothers right now, because as we talked about in the lead up last week, and then of course over the weekend, it didn't look like Joker 2 is tracking well. And then we got about the worst news you could possibly imagine. Not only was gonna open lower than the first Joker back in 2019, but it couldn't even match up those expectations. People thought, I'm sure it'll still be a 50 or $60 million first weekend, right? Wasn't exactly the case. And now we're sitting there looking at a total and complete disaster for Joker 2 at the box office. And like you mentioned the other day, Jeremy, when things like this happen, you start to see people try to distance themselves. You start to try to see the blame game. We have seen exactly that for when it comes to Joker 2, because it looks like Warner Brothers is putting everything they can out there to say, hey, we let Todd Phillips do his thing. This is his thing. Don't blame James Gunn. Don't blame this person. Don't blame that person. Just blame Todd Phillips. It's all his fault. Well, it's the people that convinced Todd Phillips to do a sequel to a movie that he didn't want to do a sequel to and give him $200 million. Those are really the people that are at fault for this, before you bring in what they actually did with the movie. Inside Joker Folia debacle, Todd Phillips wanted nothing to do with DC on the $200 million misfire. And you're having a lot of this stuff coming out from sources close to Warner Brothers, effectively all saying the same thing. Todd didn't want help. He didn't want help. He didn't want to take notes from any of these people. Todd had full autonomy to do anything. There was no press, or there were no test screenings, and any notes that got given to him, he refused to look at. It's all Todd Phillips' fault, Jeremy. That this is the biggest disaster we've ever seen.
This is crazy, man. They are doing so much damage control right now. And this is Hollywood for you, man. They will turn on you in a minute. They will stab you in the back, because do you know what? They wouldn't be giving him all of this praise and credit single-handedly if this movie would have done another $1 billion. It wouldn't be just like, oh, Todd, this was all Todd. We had nothing to do with it. They would not be doing this in that situation. So this is the same, Hollywood that we're not allowed to criticize and call out because, protect the $1 billion companies. Ultimately, this is the man's gotten paid. Like, how much did he get made? How much did he get paid for this?
He got paid $20 million. That is revealed in this article. He got $20 million. Joaquin Phoenix got $20 million. Lady Gaga, $12 million.
I mean, it's hard to feel sorry for a man that just got paid $20 million. So you can pay me $20 million and blame everything on me, Warner Brothers. That's fine. I mean, that's totally fine with me. But ultimately,
those three got paid as much as the first movie cost, period.
Jeez.
Right? First movie was about $55 million budget. Like that. It's effectively that budget went into just paying the top three people.
And based on what we've seen so far, so from the overseas and the domestic, what are we looking at? What is this box office run going to end up being when it's all said and done, do you think? Guesstimate.
Well, the thing is, it's a lot better. It was received a lot better internationally, not still to the level of the first one, but it was better than it was here in the U.S. So a lot's going to depend on this weekend and how it does this weekend, and because this is where we can start to see what the tracking will be, both here and overseas. The problem is, with $200 million wrapped up in the budget, with around $100 million wrapped up in marketing, this movie, that best case fucking scenario you're talking about, has to hit $550 to maybe $600 million at the box office. There's no way it's making that.
And the media has reported that it was only going to need 450 to break even, just because that was the spin. Yes. That was the spin that they were putting on it. And I mean, is this movie going to make $300 million? Worldwide?
I think that it might. I think that might be like its point. I think that might be where I see I don't know if it can go lower than that.
What an absolute, what a drop, man.
But it could be 250, 300 mil. That might be where it ends up. And tracking less than the Marvels domestically, much better than it internationally. But still.
And the thing is what's crazy about this is, usually even if a follow-up to a very successful movie is not good, the opening weekend usually does not suffer this bad when the momentum is so strong coming off of the previous movie. So Joker 1 did over $1 billion. That was the highest rated or highest grossing rated R movie of all time. Everyone loved it, generally speaking. It had very high praise across the board. Fans and normies alike all loved it. But the consensus was that no one was longing for the sequel. Everyone was kind of like, yeah, this is good. This is a good story, good, good one-off movie. It wasn't like people were like, we need to see the next chapter. You have movies like Spider-Man 3, where if you look at the box office numbers for Spider-Man 3, this is Tobey Spider-Man 3, the box office numbers are very positive for it, even though the reception to the movie wasn't positive because so many people love Spider-Man 2.
Now, my opinion on Joker is going to be different than others. Did it need a sequel? No. But could it have benefited from a sequel? Absolutely. How many movies out there don't actually need a sequel? The first movie was incredible. We should have just left it right there. But there were other ideas that came about, and you were able to build upon it and create a story arc that would end up going somewhere. I'm a creative. And right off the bat, I could definitely see many incredible angles that Joker 2 could have gone in. And one would literally have been him, eventually getting out of Arkham Asylum, wherever he's locked up. And basically character development, world building, things along those lines. And it could have been much more interesting. We did not have to go in this direction. Harley Quinn could have been quite interesting, giving us a character who was in love with someone who was toxic, but still had a heart, and could maybe even work or act as Arthur's conscience to some degree. There were many angles they could have gone in, and yet this is what they chose to do. Don't forget that feminists, or let's just be clear, liberated women and people in Hollywood, woke Hollywood, were very furious that Harley Quinn was not the center of the movie and that Arthur appeared too much in the film as it is. These movies, they signal a bigger problem in Hollywood right now. The fact is that Hollywood is going through a transformation into being just literally a hellscape where no one wants to be. You still have people who want to be in Hollywood. I want to be a star. But if you look at what Hollywood has become, it's nothing more than it's nothing more than an echo chamber. The people in Hollywood are absolutely terrible. The movies and television shows coming out of Hollywood now are absolutely terrible. It's just all woke BS made for a modern audience. It's been something that's been going on since the 90s, and it's just gotten worse to the point where it's almost impossible to watch a lot of the trash coming out of it right now. It's very easy for them to say, well, people are just tired of things like superhero movies or supervillain movies. That's total BS. When you give people what they want, they will eat it up. The truth of the matter is that people are craving superhero movies right now. Good superhero movies. Why do I say that? Because we have not had any good superhero movies in ages. I mean, it feels like we haven't had a good superhero movie in like 4 going on 5 years. In fact, I'm right. I'm absolutely right. Going back to Endgame, that was kind of the end. Sure, we had Spider-Man, and Spider-Man was cool. It wasn't bad, but that was kind of it. There was just really nothing good after Spider-Man. It's all just been a bunch of woke propaganda BS. People are tired of these movies. They are tired of all the virtue signaling. It's gross. It's absolutely gross. Look at what happened with Deadpool. I would say that Deadpool is the perfect example where I would say Deadpool is the first superhero movie in years that was actually really, really good and gave the fans what they wanted, something to enjoy and something to celebrate. Deadpool and Wolverine was very much a celebration. It hit over $1 billion. I think it was like 1.3 or close to 1.3 billion. and digital sales for Deadpool and Wolverine have been absolutely insane. And let's be very clear, they'll probably do something similar again, like once upon a time, where, like, and I forget the exact name for it, where they took the original Deadpool movie and they made it into like a PG 13 movie, so people could actually, so that the little jerks could actually go and watch it. Like they very well may end up doing that right around Christmas. Re-release it, again, like in the whole Once Upon a Deadpool style, so that the little jerks can go and watch it, make it a Christmas film, and they'll make a bunch of additional money from it, maybe $100 to $200 million more, which is ridiculous, absolutely ridiculous. Okay, they're already, and guys, and they're gonna say, "Oh, this is a fluke." They damn well know. Hollywood knows that people are sick and tired of all of this modern audience crap, but they don't care, and they're gonna keep on pushing it, and they'll do bait and switches. We are not oversaturated of superhero movies. We are desperate for good superhero movies, like that go back to 10 years ago, when the MCU first started.
And so you had all of the momentum coming off the previous movie, and that's happened many times. This is just unbelievable, man. This was a consensus across the board. The audience has told you they didn't want a sequel. No one was asking for this movie, and the numbers prove it. There was no desire for a sequel. You should have left this as it was.
Yeah, this is about the biggest disaster they could have had. The biggest movie of the fall that, like, this time period probably has been Beetlejuice 3 or Beetlejuice 2. A Warner Brothers movie, a sequel, and then probably the biggest flop of this same time period is going to end up being Joker 2 for Warner Brothers.
Jeez.
So, you win some, you lose some, I suppose, for WB. But with $40 billion in debt, looks like they've been losing a lot more than they've been winning.
I think the biggest goal for them right now is they've accepted that they're going to lose hundreds of millions of dollars. I think the biggest goal for them right now is to distance and keep James Gunn's name away from this, if at all possible. That's their goal right now, is to just say, James had nothing to do with this. This was and that's why they're singling in on Todd Phillips. That's why they're focusing on going, this was his project. James Gunn, who now runs, the DC films division, they don't want him to have any connection to this whatsoever. That's why they're going to throw Todd Phillips under the bus, and he's going to take his $20 million and take his lumps.
And it like, two things can be true. This can be like massive damage control for them to get this stuff out there. It could also be true as well. And because we knew there were a couple projects that when James Gunn and Peter Safran came on, they weren't allowed to touch. One of those things was Joker 2. Another one of those things was The Batman 2. Like, those were projects that had been agreed upon by the studio that were going to continue on regardless of what James Gunn was doing, as opposed to other things that were in their power. Stuff that had been in production that they could have made the decision to keep going or stop it. But those two projects were not. So I wouldn't be surprised if there is a lot of truth to the fact that he did this all himself, but Warner Brothers, they're the ones that allowed him to operate that way.
Yep.
What I really want to point out too is you have to remember that these are publicly traded companies. Warner Brothers, publicly traded company. Disney, publicly traded company. Guys, Sony, publicly traded company. What they are doing right now is they are losing tons of money for their shareholders, okay? Their shareholders are looking at this crap right now, and they're saying, what the heck is going on? Look at Ubisoft. Ubisoft has cost people billions of dollars. They went from being worth like 13 billion down to like one point something billion. Like, Ubisoft is in such dire straits right now after all the woke BS that they've done. Star Wars Outlaws making their games absolutely horrible. After what they have done, guys, we are now in a position where they are, they've just set themselves up to be bought out by Tencent, which is a Chinese company, because the company has lost so much of its value. And Tencent, they don't actually want Ubisoft. They want the IPs. So they basically will allow Ubisoft to go into a state of bankruptcy, because Ubisoft, I guarantee you, they have a ton of debt. So they're going to go into bankruptcy, and then Tencent will go in, swoop in, and buy them out or buy out their assets, okay? Assassin's Creed, because that's probably what they're really after, Assassin's Creed, and gut everything else. Maybe they'll take Rayman. And everyone loses their money. Like, everyone right now is going ballistic. And if you see what's happening with Warner Brothers, they're trying to, DC, Warner Brothers, DC, they're all trying to distance themselves from Todd Phillips, the director of the movie, and say, oh, he did it. This bad man did it. He's responsible for this. Guys, I guarantee you, these movies don't get made unless the studio approves. They're saying that, oh, Todd Phillips was given a complete, he was told that he could do anything and everything with this film, and guys, he's just a fall guy for this. This is what woke Hollywood wanted. They wanted to put out a movie for modern audiences, and they said, to heck with the existing audience, to heck with the people who enjoyed this movie. All right? We don't want you. We're going to put this woke BS out. We're going to put out a movie that's going to patronize the very same people who enjoyed the film, and you'll learn to like it. Okay? Or don't watch it. Now you have them attacking the audience for not watching these films. For saying, hey, all right, fine, well, we're not going to watch it. How dare you not watch our movies? So what we're going to do is we're going to slander you. We're going to call you names. We're going to use the R word, okay? And say that if you don't like the Joker too, then you don't like certain groups of people. Like, if you don't give us your money, then you're a bad person, and you don't like groups of people, and you need to be punished for it. You need to lose your income. Guys, this is how sick the society that we are living in now. I tell you something, there's something that hit me in my comments on one of my videos where a simp basically started quarreling in the comments that how bad capitalism is, and then calling me a simp because I was still supporting capitalism. And if I can't see that capitalism is a broken system, capitalism isn't broken. Capitalism is beautiful. What we have right now is not capitalism, okay? What we have right now are corporations, large corporations that have hijacked the system. They've taken over they are now colluding with the state, and we are suffering as a result. This is not how capitalism is supposed to work. If the government is doing its job, a lot of these large tech companies would be broken up very, very quickly. Just like how they broke up Ma Bell in the 80s, and we ended up with Bell Atlantic, which is now Verizon and AT&T and T-Mobile. All of these companies are remnants of Ma Bell, okay, that had a giant monopoly on the telecommunications industry. So even companies like Netflix are beginning to become questionable. Guys, this is a major collapse. Then they also have the new, what do you call it? Oh yeah, Captain America. The new Captain America movie is total crap. It's horrible. No one wants this movie. No one wants a new Captain America movie. It's total BS. And yet they are pushing it onto us. And everyone, they're saying the test ratings for it are horrible. Guys, this is a collapse. We're seeing this is the death of Hollywood. All right? Because especially with AI, production equipment, it's only a matter of time before animes, cartoons are being made by normal people. I'm being honest with you. It's only a matter of time before voice actors, the voice acting is done, someone just starts doing voice acting at home. They make a little voice acting booth and they start doing their voice acting at home. And people come together and they start making their own television shows, their own things, and their own animations. A lot of this stuff is going to be replaced by AI because AI is now able to create all of those additional frames. Guys, you have to understand something about this technology called DLSS. So DLSS is kind of insane. DLSS is frame generation, and that makes our video games look better. But when you apply the same principles, because it's built all around artificial technology, and it uses deep learning to basically create videos, to create movements, to create new frames, ultimately we can end up with DLSS helping to create our favorite cartoons, create like do Batman, like Batman the animated series, stuff like or in animes or stuff like this. All of these things that these shows on Netflix, and even eventually movies in and of themselves, live action movies using this technology. Guys, Hollywood is breaking down. And we're basically, I think that we're on the precipice of a new era. Okay? Will it happen today? It's going to start happening in terms of like the cartoons and stuff like that. I think that's going to happen sooner than later. And then gradually, I do think that we're going to begin moving away from Hollywood. We are going to begin moving away from Hollywood, and people are just going to begin watching their shows that normal people create. People like me, people that because if you look at like shows like One Piece, like the new One Piece movie on Netflix, it's good. I like it, but it doesn't look like something that should cost them like crazy amounts of money to make. I'm just being honest with you. There are a lot of people that have these skill sets, that have the know-how to make a movie, to make a film, to make these things. And the technology is increasingly becoming more available. If you look at games like Pal World, for example, on the indie front, many of the great games that are now coming out, like Horizon Dawn, or was it? It's our Hidden West, or guys, these games were made by indie developer. It was made by an indie developer, and then I believe Sony bought them out. I mean, I was the Horizon Zero Dawn, guys. If you look at Pal World is amazing. It was made by some guy who didn't know how to code, and just like some like a ragtag team of developers, and they made a game that's now like what has somewhere between like over $500 million in sales. Like they have so much money right now that they're able to go up against Nintendo and fight Nintendo in court because Nintendo wants to shut them down. So if you look at the indie gaming industry right now, what's happening with indies, and indies are absolutely killing it. Like they are destroying it. And the gaming industry is shifting more towards these indie developers, where indie developers are giving us the kinds of games that we want to actually play. As AAA games are absolute crap like Star Wars Outlaws and Assassin's Creed, which are bankrupting these companies. With AI, we're going to begin seeing these productions, these television shows, our favorite shows at like anime-like productions, these shows that would typically appear on Netflix. We're going to start getting them from people who are going to form their own small production studio and say, okay, yeah, I'm going to form a production studio and we're going to start making this content. And they're going to directly compete with Hollywood. And what makes things so cool is that a lot of our favorite actors like Vic Mignogna or people like Johnny Depp, for example, Johnny Depp was kicked out of Hollywood despite everything and the fact that he was actually the victim. What happens when someone says, hey, Johnny, we have a job for you? What happens when one of these independent studios that's creating content says, Johnny, we want you to voice a character? And he's able to carry it so well, even if the animation is still coming along, he carries it so well that people are like, holy cow, this is amazing. Have you seen some of the crap that they're putting out right now on Cartoon Network? The animation is horrific. Absolutely horrific. Like, this is like, you look at like Teen Titans Go and you look at Teen Titans, and they're in two different leagues. Teen Titans Go looks like amazing animation compared to Teen Titans Go, which looks like absolute crap. So we're seeing a breakdown. We're seeing the beginning of the end where a lot of the mainstream media, there's a shift happening. All right. Like people are moving away from example, news. People have basically abandoned mainstream media news, and most mainstream media, most television that's watched today is being watched by boomers and maybe older Gen Xers, but it's mostly boomers. Because almost no one actually watches television anymore. Virtually no one turns on TV and like, okay, I'm gonna watch the CW. Like, what? A lot of people are like, what the hell is the CW? The CW? You know, it's something that's been happening for a long time. People get their news, their updates from their entertainment from YouTube, from the internet, from various platforms, from Twitch, from Kick. I'm shocked from Rumble. Rumble has a large audience right now. There's a lot of people on Rumble. And, even though Netflix is doing well, YouTube is beating out Netflix in terms of views. Most streaming media is consumed on YouTube. And that's user generated content. So many of you guys, you spend your entire days just listening to Angry Guy videos. This is your television. You listen to this while you're working out. You listen to this while you're at work on a late night shift. You listen to this content just because. All right? And you do because, hey, it's more interesting than a lot of the garbage out there. A lot of the mainstream stuff is just terrible. I don't know if you guys heard about this, but Tatiana, I forget her last name, but the chick that played Hulk, She-Hulk, in the Disney Plus series, she was originally supposed to have a fight scene in Deadpool and Wolverine, but they cut it. And, Ryan Reynolds talked about being ruthless and saying only the best would make it in there, what people would enjoy. And she basically wants to sue. She's like saying that she's going to go after Disney and Ryan Reynolds and sue them now for not being properly compensated, and she wants her scene put back into the digital version. Okay, yeah, she wants I've never heard of anything like this before, and who knows, she might just get her way, where she will take them to court and force them to put her scene back into the movie that was cut. So we're heading in this direction where Hollywood is collapsing because they're losing too much money. All right? The gaming industry is heading towards a major collapse. You can see that, guys. All of these gaming companies are being taken down. Sony has lost so much darn money, and they've doubled down. They lost presumably somewhere between 500 and 700 million dollars on Concord. There are many people who are trying to clean it up, but people with inside knowledge, that garbage woke game that they put out, they're saying that it's going to cost Sony closer to between 500 and 700 million. And that's one of the reasons why the PlayStation 5 Pro costs so much, because Sony is losing so much money over these diversity, equity, and inclusion games. And guys, if you want to support this channel and everything I do, check out the Angry Guy Clubhouse and get top expat and passport bro travel tips, digital nomad guides, passive income strategies, and hard-hitting manosphere content. Free subscribers get access to videos, podcasts, articles, and community chat, plus receive the passive income blueprint and digital nomad blueprint just for subscribing. Paid subscribers unlock exclusive guides like the How to Build an Online Business in 24 Hours ebook, wealth building blueprints, and crypto updates. Join us now. Click the link in the description. The situation that we're seeing unfold is very, very serious. It's extremely serious, guys. We're looking at a collapse, a major collapse of Hollywood, of the gaming industry, of the mainstream media. We're beginning to witness that massive shift. These companies do not have unlimited amounts of money. What ends up happening is when they fail, when they put out these products that cost, these movies, these video games, these television shows, all of it, that ultimately end up failing and cost hundreds of millions of dollars. That basically just results in the consumer being charged more. So that's one of the reasons why prices go up. Because, we just failed. We just lost all of this money. We just lost $1 billion. All right, so since, like Ubisoft, we're going to charge $150 for the full version of this game. And if the consumer wants to enjoy the full version of this game, they're just going to have to pay $150 for the new Assassin's Creed, which, by the way, is woke BS. Or someone will just go buy a game that does not do that and also leaves out all the political crap. You see, there are always going to be the ponies out there. Ponies, basically the PlayStation fanboys or the Xbox, Xbox fanboys. These people who are like, yeah, it doesn't matter. I don't care. If you don't want to play it, if you don't like this, it's okay. And you're a loser, blah, blah, blah. It doesn't, guys, these are simps. I told you. And what ends up, just like society, how men have walked away, just like how men have walked away from relationships and dating in society, and women are like, where the heck are all the guys? Men are walking away from these from a lot of this woke garbage. They're rejecting it, and it's costing tons of money. Disney cannot continue doing this forever. Like, Disney Plus is barely profitable, evidently. They finally just became profitable. They've canceled a bunch of shows, and the next batch of Star Wars movies are just going to again be woke drivel. They're gonna try to do is pass this mainstream media garbage off as it's not mainstream media. It's not modern. It's not for the modern audience. It's good old fun. It's good old fun that you kids just don't understand. Like, look at what happened with the CEO of Disney and his response. He goes, I don't think people understand what woke actually means. Okay? And just to be clear, he's supposed to be out. I don't know if it's going to happen, but he's supposed to be out of there in like another year or two. Like, his contract was only for like 2 years. So they're just going to bring in another idiot who probably doesn't even know the industry as well as this guy does. Another idiot who's going to muck everything up. Even worse. All right? And like I said, guys, they're going to run out of money. And they can only pass on so much of it to the consumer. This is why they don't like physical media. This is the reason why they want to get rid of physical media as quickly as possible. Because if you don't have access to physical media, then you're forced to swallow whatever garbage that they put out there, and they can keep on charging you eternally for it because you don't actually own anything. Like, I spent so much money on my Steam library, but one of the things Steam just added to pretty much every region now is a notice that says, you don't own any. Like, when you purchase your games from Steam, you're only purchasing a license. You don't actually own them. And they can basically take your game, they can cancel your license at any time. You own nothing. Guys, we don't own movies anymore. We don't own games anymore. Like, for example, I purchased the digital copy of Deadpool and Wolverine. I absolutely loved it. But I don't actually own it. It's a license from Amazon, and it can be taken away at any time. I do not physically own it. Now I see the reason why people say buy your media physically. Like, I was one of those people who are like, I don't care. Like, I like to buy my games digitally. It's not like I'm trying to resell them and I'll be able to access them forever. That's the mindset that so many of us have. Like, well, I'll be able to access it. No, you won't. That's one of the reasons I don't have a PlayStation 5. I don't have a PlayStation 5, and I don't want to give Sony my money. I do not want to be invested in the PlayStation ecosystem. And a lot of people are stuck like that right now, where they bought their games digitally from Sony. And that's why companies like digital games, because they can trap you in the ecosystem. Because you're so invested in that ecosystem, you're forced to continually go back to that ecosystem. It's not so easy just to walk away. Still, with platforms like Steam, a lot of people are beginning to just wake up and realize the juice is not worth the squeeze. And these companies, they don't give a damn about you. They just want your money. They just want your money and your attention. But guys, don't forget, just like with women, attention is a currency. And consumers are taking their eyes away because these companies, they make money multiple ways. They make money by selling you their products and also advertising. And the consumer is taking their attention away. They're like, we don't want to watch this crap. We will put our attention elsewhere. So pandering to the modern audience is wonderful because all it's going to do, that's what they call the whole DEI crap, diversity, equity, inclusion audience, modern audiences, all right? Pandering to these people that make up less than 1% of the population. And these people are not even coming out. Like, only 25,000 people purchase Concord. Trust me, there are more than 25,000 Sims out there. All right, there are tens of millions of Sims, and yet the Sims didn't go and spend their money on this game. Guys, where are the simps right now in the dating markets? Why aren't the simps out there spending their money on women right now and taking women on expensive dates? Because even though they will pander, shame, and insult men, this is just their means of survival. So they don't actually want to spend their money on these women unless they're spending it on their OnlyFools and LonelyFans pages. You know, where for a couple dollars a month, you basically get to see quite a bit. These Sims don't. A lot of these Sims are broke boys. I'm not saying all Sims are broke boys, but a lot of these Sims are broke boys, and that's why the manosphere is so filled with Sims. Has so many Sims because they have nowhere else to go, guys. This is what we're seeing right now is the absolute death of Hollywood because they're going to run out of money. They're going to run out of money, and trying to pass the buck on to the audience is only going to work for so long. And the competition that is coming now from people like me and people much larger than me, all right, that are going to be putting out entire television shows. Look at guys, look at shows like the Best Ever Food Review Show. Like that's a Netflix style show. That's a show that would be on Netflix, and that's on YouTube. There's so many shows like this that are on YouTube now. High production, and it's only going to continue to grow. And you're going to have shows. You already have fan films with acting and things along those lines. But it's only going to continue to grow. And it's going to begin to replace the mainstream media. It's already doing it. YouTube has already replaced the mainstream media. It's already replaced, for example, in terms of news, no one follows the mainstream media for news anymore. If the mainstream media could not put their content on YouTube, and have access to and people watch their content on YouTube and have their videos recommended, no one will watch it. No one gives a damn about eyewitness news. And soon no one will give a damn about Hollywood. In fact, people will absolutely loathe it and have fun not giving these companies $1 or a dime. What do you guys think? Joker 2 signals the death of Hollywood. Let me know if you guys agree with this. And we'll talk about it in the comments. Like the video if you like it. Don't forget to subscribe. And if you like the video, share the video. And just remember that all roads lead to MWM and walking away. And cheers.